Okay, so Ali's going to take you through copywriting in regards to search engine copywriting, so writing text for your actual website and also for social media. Can I just get a raise of hands? Who wants to focus more on social media content? And who wants to focus more on just general copywriting? Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so you've probably all heard the buzz phrase that content is king. So the reason for that, as my colleagues have explained, is that Google puts a lot of value into the content that's on your website, and it uses that content to determine how valuable the information is that you're giving to your potential readers or customers, visitors to your site. When we talk about SEO copywriting, one of the things that's really important there are those keywords or key phrases that you're targeting. So if you're creating, while you may not use it for your main site, it could be that you're creating a dedicated landing page or even a microsite for a specific event, for an initiative, for something unique, in which case you might want to do some research into keywords to see what people are looking for or how they might be searching for that. And it's really a good idea to put yourself into the shoes of a potential visitor to your site and think, if I was sitting in front of my computer, what would I look for if that was what I wanted to find? Then you write your content using that information. You also need to include it into some of the tags, which I'll get to later. And you use those keywords in a way that is not spammy, so you don't want to just shove them in wherever they fit. It needs to fit based on the information that you're providing there. So let's talk just for a moment about why content's important. Of course, for the SEO purpose, it needs to be there in order to give you a place to put those keywords. It adds to your visibility. It also gives you the opportunity to provide education to the people visiting your site. They come to you for information. You need to be the one providing the clear, comprehensive information that they're looking for. It also has the power to deter users. If they come to your site and can't find what they're looking for, they're going to bounce right back off and go somewhere else to try to find that information. It also gives you a chance to showcase the personality of your organization and to build a relationship and to engage with those people. They might see that you're more than just a government organization that doesn't care. You actually have a personality and you want to help them solve their problems. I like to think of writing a bit like wine. It's very subjective. So one person might think a bottle is amazing and one person might think a blog post is amazing and someone else could completely disagree. So it's definitely subjective, but there are some characteristics of good copy that we can all sort of strive for. Obviously, being innovative is really important. As Mark mentioned, you don't want to copy anybody. You'll be penalized for that. And you want to show that you've got something different. You're not just repeating information. If you're shareable and engaging, if you've got a blog post that people can quickly post to their Facebook page, you're going to broaden your reach. Suddenly you're visible to tenfold more people because it's being shared on social media. One thing that I do want to touch on is being indexable. So this, I'm not sure if you know what this means, but if you use any of those accordion features or a read more button on your website that actually hides your content, Google bots can't crawl the content and they can't index your keywords. Basically the content is not there in the eyes of Google. So you need to make sure that all the content is actually visible so that it can be crawled and indexed. There are a couple of tips that you can look at as you're preparing your copy. The first thing is to decide what you want to achieve with each page. Every page should have a unique topic and all the information on that page should be relevant to that topic. When you start adding tons of topics and tons of information onto a single page, people become overwhelmed, they get confused, they can't find what they're looking for, they leave. So you want to make sure that everything's separated and categorized, but also comprehensive. In addition to that, if you have something that's only maybe going to give you about 3 lines on a page, it doesn't need its own page. There's not enough information there to really justify that, so you can probably think of where you can combine it with something else. When you're planning the copy that you're going to write, you can obviously you'll decide on the topic, and then you'll determine which keywords you want to use in there and the exact messaging and tone that you're looking for. One of the things that I think is really important when writing copy is to make it about the reader. So you really want to touch on their pain points. When you visit a site and they just talk about themselves and how great they are and what they do, it's a little bit like being on a bad date. They're just talking all about themselves. So you really want to say, this is how I can help you. I understand that this is your problem. This is what we offer. So make it about them. As I mentioned before, you want to just be careful with your keywords, that it's you don't spam, but that the information is comprehensive and concise. This, number 4, should seem obvious, but I'm one of those grammar freaks. I find mistakes everywhere. So just make sure that everything's spell checked and proofed. One thing that might be a good idea is to actually have someone outside of your department, outside of your organization, read the page, find someone that fits the demographic, have them read the information, and see if it achieves your goal. Does it answer their questions? Are they left with more questions? And then finally, and this might be really important for some of you, I know that sometimes different departments are responsible for creating their own copy. It's really important that there be some guidelines in place so that everything is consistent and you have a brand personality that people can identify with. So there are just a few tricks we can go through to help you make sure that your copy is really readable and user-friendly. One thing that works really well with copy is using active language versus passive language. And you can even actually Google some free tools about the readability of your page, and it will scan it and tell you how readable it is. But Word also has something that will tell you how many passive sentences are in your copy, so you can fix those. When you use active language, you actually create more of a conversational style speak, and I think that audiences really respond to that. Then when you actually lay out your copy, that's important as well because it helps readers quickly find what they're looking for. We know that people are a bit lazy, they don't want to read a big block of copy, so it helps if you make it easy for them. One thing that you can do is separate it into points, use bullet points, use headings that are bigger and bolder so that people can see the sections and where the information is going to be. Work with your designers to make sure that the fonts are all easy to read, that everything is quite clear and not too fancy that it gets in the way of actually being user-friendly. We read top to bottom, left to right, make sure that the headings are in the most obvious place. You want to draw their eyes to the place that they would naturally go, not make them sort of search for where your heading is. And you can even work with your designers to use elements that enhance your copy. So that could be navigational elements that say, click here, go to this page, whatever. They can create a design around that and your copy will enhance that, as well as the opposite. You could have some really important copy. They could create a design element around that to draw people's attention to it. One thing that's really important, similar to not hiding your copy behind an accordion feature, is to push it towards the top of the page. Google gives less weight to copy that's just shoved down at the bottom of the page, so it's really important to put it at the top of the page to show that it has value. This is a kind of breakdown of a typical page layout. At the top right, you have breadcrumbs. This just tells you how far you've drilled down into the website. On the left, you have a really easy to use navigational menu. So if I finish reading the information here and I want to look for something else, I can just find it quickly here. We have rich media video, which Sharmini will talk about in a little while. We have headings here that people can find the information, as well as within the copy, we have links that will link to other pages. So if I discuss something relevant, email marketing, I'll link to that. So in addition to having it here, they can just click right through. Another thing is over here on the right, you have a conversion form. When you make it easy and obvious, people are more likely to convert. Don't make them go to 3 or 4 different pages to get to the sign up for your newsletter. Put it right there, put it in front of their face, make it simple. So this is a beautifully designed website, and when we visit a site, this is what we see. We see the images, we see the emotive response here to the beautiful turkey that makes you think of holiday. This is what Google sees, right? It doesn't get into the images, it gets into your content, what's written on the banner, what's written in the navigational elements. So this is where you also have to be careful about spam, because you could think that, well, I've written chicken here, but it's really not part of my copy, so it doesn't count. According to Google, it definitely counts. And this is another breakdown of how a really well laid out page might look. So here at the top where it says Taste Award, that's called your H1. That's your main heading of your copy. It does have quite a bit of value as far as keywords are concerned, but it has to be coded as an H1, so you need to work with your developers to make sure that they do that. Then it's broken down into some bullet points. Here we have different paragraphs which are then highlighted with pictures. So we're using our design to help draw eyes to important parts. Keyword rich. This is also ready for any type of computer, so your desktop versus your mobile phone versus your tablet. And then at the top, one thing that I mentioned earlier was the tags. So these are also important with your keywords. So your title tags and the meta description are what appear in the search engine results. So when you type something in Google, the title tag is the blue bit, and the meta description is the 2-line description just under that. Those should include your keywords, and they should also include marketing copy that encourages click-throughs. If you don't write these in with your developers and create them for them, Google will pick what it thinks is relevant and put it there. So you actually have a chance to reach an audience and say, this is what's on this page, and use really good marketing copy to get them to click your result versus someone else's. last two slides are really just for your information, so you can look through this checklist. This is written by Google's Amit Singha. Some of them will be relevant to the copy that you're writing, some of them won't be, but you can use it as a kind of way to mark off things that you're doing right and see if your copy is living up to Google's standards.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk more specifically about social media copy.